Assalamualaikum, I am Nurfitri and in this presentation, my group members and I are going to present regarding the coral reef assessment method. Monitoring is the collection of data and information about the ecosystem of coral reef or individuals who utilize the coral reef resources. The type of coral reef monitoring employed was ecological monitoring. Mapping and site selection, bent ecosystem, invertebrates, fishes, and physical characteristics are some of the ecological monitoring approaches. However, only benthic communities, invertebrates, and fishes will be examined in greater depth in this presentation.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nur Alina and I will continue this presentation with line and point intercept transect. Line intercept transect or LIT is the most effective method. LIT can be used individually or together with other techniques such as quadrat. In comparison to chain intercept transect, growth form data provide a less precise description of the reef topography changes. This is the procedure to conduct the line intercept transect. There are several advantages if using LIT methods. First, LIT can determine the growth form categories data. To use LIT method, only minimal equipment is needed. And LIT provide the most accurate percentage of coral cover and diversity. Next is limitation of LIT method. Some of the growth form categories are difficult to standardize among observers. LIT is inappropriate for evaluating demographic problem involving requirement, growth, or mortality. Not suitable for quantitative analysis of uncommon and small species abundance or percent cover. Next is point intercept transect, which is PIT. PIT is one of the more objective technique for sampling cover. These are some programs that use this method. This is the procedures when use point intercept transect. The advantages for this method is can provide the most accurate estimations of coral diversity and cover. Next is the diver can quickly learn PIT method. Using PIT method can give education and awareness benefit to the public. Next is limitation. The spatial variability of the reef will determine how many points are needed for high accuracy. On a reef, the PIT method is bad for uncommon species.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Tengku Syed Nabil. Do you guys know what is video transect technique? Video transect technique is the application of modern underwater cameras over photography and video inspection of coral reef. The video transect approach entails a field of investigation employing a video camera over a defined length line, with the captured picture being afterward further examined by a computer. These are the 15 steps of procedure and steps from the video transect technique. Do you know what is the advantage of this technique? This technique is simple and easy to conduct as it requires lesser field of survey. Next is proven cost effective because it does not require expertise in coral identification. Besides that, the video transect technique also provides a permanent data. Some limitation of this technique are it needs digital equipment for an image and video frame analysis, which will involve a high cost to purchase and maintain. Next, it also demands a high skill team of individuals to analyze the photos in the lab. Video and photography only give two-dimensional perspective of the reef. As a result, this technique is unsuitable for calculating spatial relief. Lastly, large-scale photo coverage also presents a challenge. This is because the resolution and water purity of the photograph taken from a distance might be not sufficient to detect the organism. Next, what is visual quadrant technique? The visual quadrant technique include counting of benthic communities at a selected random quadrat. This technique frequently delivers image with an excellent taxonomic resolution. However, they are typically applied to areas of 50 to 150 meters. These are the procedures of this technique, which include the installation of quadrant and count of the life form. The advantages are it is reasonable in price and able to miss a tiny, obscure and hidden species while sampling small quadrats. One of the limitations of this technique is it requires a lot of time to identify the organism, and the forecast may also differ depending on the observer. It is recommended to have standard training for all of the observer. However, the precision is still not as accurate and precise as we compare with point quadrant, which have a lower human error.
For the macroinvertebrate belt transect, it consists of 4 methods, which are Reef Check, AIMS long-term program, Lincoln-Smith transect, and MarkTrack program. Here are the summary of the procedure for each method. The advantages of belt transect include some of the methods was cost-effective because it does not require high equipment. Second, it provides education and awareness towards the community about coral reef. It also easy to handle and conduct. Lastly, it provides more detailed information about the health condition of the coral reef. Next, each method has its own limitation. Reef check method requires to replicate the survey up to 4 times per location and year to provide useful information. Moreover, MarkTrack program method is time-consuming method as it has many procedures need to be done. In the AIMS long-term program, the observers had to be searched quickly in order to keep on track of the footage captured by the photographer when surveys were conducted simultaneously. Lastly, Lincoln transect method need a qualified divers because of the depth of the deep transect.
The fish belt transect is the method that used to measure the quantity, size, and species composition of reef fishes within a defined volume that is sampled by swimming inside it. This is the materials and the procedure for fish belt transect. There are a few advantages of fish belt transect. For example, quantitative data. Transect of fish belt provide quantitative data on fish abundance and variety. This data can be used to evaluate an aquatic ecosystem health and monitor alteration over time. Next, low impact. Fish belt transect are a gentle sampling approach for fish population. This implies they don't harm the environment or harm the fish. In addition, this method also has a limitation that observer cannot collect sufficient data on species, distribution, abundance, frequency of occurrence, and biomass all at the same time. To sum up, the variety of coral reef monitoring sample method is critical for understanding the complicated dynamics of this ecosystem. Long-term monitoring and integrated ecosystem observation of coral reef may provide critical data that can assist coastal citizens and marine management authorities in understanding the health of the reef.